The real reason Insecure is ending is because
Shout out to them people, mad ethnic right now.
What's up, Click? It's your girl Teeny back with another video, and today we are talking about Insecure. So if you've been on social media this past week, then you have probably seen all the stories and pictures and posts about the final season of Insecure, and a lot of people are upset, including me, girl, because I'm just like, what am I gonna do without Insecure Sundays? That was getting me through a lot, and I just don't know where to go from here. But the biggest question is why? Why is Insecure ending? And honestly, I think I have the answer. So Insecure is a comedy series that follows the friendship of two modern day Black women as they deal with their real life flaws, insecurities, and a series of uncomfortable everyday experiences. The show premiered back in 2015 and was created by Issa Rae, who became popular for her YouTube web series Awkward Black Girl. So my thought process for why Insecure is ending is based on a formula that I'm not sure if I came up with. Honestly, I feel like a lot of development section of television companies follow. I have actually no proof. Honestly, if you guys know like someone who has said this before or where this is like actually laid out as fact, then please let me know in the comments down below. But this is all based on my opinion and based on what I have noticed from other television series. And it's based on the research that I have done while preparing for this video. A lot of times the series is planned out before you even film the pilot, or at least a rough draft of where you want the story to go is planned out in what's called a television bible before the show is even picked up by a network, honestly. And to help me out with my case, I'm going to be using two shows, The Good Place and Dear White People. Those are two shows that I feel like follow this formula along with Insecure. So there's character-driven shows and plot-driven shows. So with plot-driven shows, you're typically watching situations unfold. There's a lot of external conflict. There's a specific story structure, and there's often plot twists in every episode. Keyword, every episode. So this is like your Grey's Anatomy, your 911, your Law & Order SVU. Basically, you tune in every day to watch the different situations unfold. And some shows are on long enough, and a lot of these shows are on for a long time because you can always come up with new situations that you end up caring about the characters and their story as well. If you think about it, if you watch one of these shows like Grey's Anatomy and there was no medical drama, or in Law & Order SVU there was no case going on in that episode, you'd be like, what is going on? This is not what I tuned in for. And on the other hand, there are character-driven shows. This focuses on character development, rich backstory. The storyline often follows a character arc. There's inner conflict, and the story is often told from a specific point of view. So Insecure and the other shows that we're talking about today are character-driven, and it is very important to remember that for everything else I'm about to discuss. So season 1 is where the problem that the character has is introduced. If there's no problem, there's no story. When we meet Issa in Insecure, she has two problems: her job and her love life. Although she is really passionate about the job that she works at, it's not end game for her. It's not her end job, and it's not what she wants to do for the rest of her life. And of course, if you watch the show, then you know that her boyfriend at the time had no job. He was probably a little depressed, and you know, he just wasn't doing what he needed to do as her boyfriend. He forgets her birthday in the first episode. And by the way, y'all, there will be spoilers in this video, but not so much that you can't go back and watch these shows and enjoy them. But if you're someone who hates spoilers altogether, then go ahead and put this in your watch later for after you watch these series if you really want to watch them. In The Good Place, we meet the main character Eleanor right when she has found out that she died and has gone to the good place. Her main problem in the beginning is just adjusting to her new afterlife, but soon she realizes that something is a little bit off and she actually does not belong in the good place at all. In Dear White People, the main problem is the racism and race relations at Winchester, and all of the characters are dealing with this in a different way. As far as their separate stories go, Sam wants to be the leader in fighting race relations at Winchester. Lionel is confronting his sexuality. Troy is trying to come out of his father's shadow and become his own person. And Coco Coco trying to find a leadership position or dominate the campus in any way that she can, even if it means being in a relationship that doesn't actually benefit her. At the end of season 1 for Insecure, Issa throws a very successful fundraiser for her job, which is a win for Issa because this whole season she was trying to make her mark within her job and be heard and implement her ideas. So she achieved that. But also Lawrence breaks up with her because he finds out that she cheated on him. If you didn't know that, I'm sorry. Ugh, I feel like everybody should know that, you know? Which kind of could still be seen as a win for Issa because let's be honest, Lawrence was not being a good boyfriend at the time. But of course, she still wanted to be with Lawrence, or she didn't want to hurt Lawrence. So the way it all went down wasn't the best for her character. So because the resolution of season 1 was so temporary, some sort of resolution to the problems that are introduced, but of course it can't all be resolved because we want to save that for season 2. Often season 2 continues those problems, but with an expanded world. So in Insecure, we get to see a lot more characters. Like for example, we meet a lot of Molly's co-workers. We start to explore Issa's relationship with her co-worker Frida. Lawrence's storyline completely breaks out. He starts dating. This is also how we start to get to know the other men in Lawrence's life. And overall, we're just expanding the friendships and relationships and just learning more about the interpersonal relationships in Issa's life, and then Molly and Lawrence become bigger supporting characters. In The Good Place, we switch from Eleanor's point of view to Michael's point of view, and for everybody who hasn't watched it, Michael is introduced in the first season as kind of the go-to guy for everything you need to know about what's going on in The Good Place. All we kind of know is that he is in charge of the good place of the neighborhood. He's basically like the mayor of the good place. In season 1, we're in Eleanor's point of view, so we are limited to only knowing what Eleanor knows, which is not a lot because like I said, she wakes up dead in The Good Place, and most of what she knows is based on what Michael tells her and whatever she tries to figure out while she has time to snoop on her own, which is not a lot. So switching to Michael's point of view gives us another world expansion because Michael in this instance is pretty much all knowing. So we start to learn a lot more about The Good Place and what is outside of The Good Place as well. In season 2 of Dear White People, we start to learn more about Joelle and Gabe, and Sylvia is also introduced. And season 2 is basically a continuation of the conflict that was set up in season 1. Issa started dating around, trying to bounce back from her breakup with Lawrence. And although she's having the same work problems, she's tackling them in a different way because now since she's had a success in the previous season, her boss trusts her more and she can do a little bit more and implement more programs within her workplace. On The Good Place, there's 3 more characters along with Eleanor that are in The Good Place, and they're continuing to try to figure out the mystery of why they're there and what is going on because The Good Place isn't as good as you would think The Good Place should be. But what is different now is that Michael is changing his tactics and kind of upping the ante and making it harder for them to reach their goal. And the same can be said about Dear White People. Sam is still kind of the poster child for race relations on campus, except instead of fighting it face to face, she's fighting it online. Lionel is exploring his sexuality a lot more. Reggie, which I failed to mention in the first season, I am so sorry if there's any Reggie stans out there, but he is continuing to heal and adjust and recover from his altercation with campus police. Coco is still making her mark on campus, but instead of trying to play the side role or the background role as the girlfriend to Troy, she is trying to step more into a leadership position and take the reins herself. And Troy is still trying to figure himself out and even, you know, takes a little drugs to help him get there. And the reason that season 2 is a continuation of the conflict set up in season 1 is for one reason and one reason only, and that is you. Everyone who is involved in creating a television show has the same goal, which is to please the viewer and make them happy and make them want to keep watching so that you can get renewed for another season and keep doing what you love. As soon as season 1 ends and the viewers want more, we are now in a contractual relationship, okay? At this point, the viewer wants more of what they fell in love with in season season 1. And so you can't veer too far left when it comes to what you put on for season 1 or what your characters do for season 1, because your viewers will not like it. They will be like, what is this? This is not what I wanted. I wanted more of Insecure. I wanted more of The Good Place. I wanted more of Dear White People, not whatever this is. The writer has already given you a world, given you a set of rules, given you circumstances, and told you this is what it is. Either you like it or you don't. And since you liked it, my job now is to give you more of what you like. As I was doing my research, I came across an article on Vox written by Caroline Framke. I think that's how you say her name, or Framk, not sure. But there was this quote that I was like, this explains what I'm trying to say perfectly. And so I'm gonna read it to you guys. It says, everyone on the show has changed just enough to know that they should probably stop making the same mistakes, but not enough to actually stop. And if you look at a lot of shows, that's exactly what season 2 is like, especially if it is character driven. And it's basically because of what I just said. We have to continue what we started. And then the conclusion of season 2 is usually wrapped in a nice little bow, but it's enough for you to wonder, okay, so what's next? It's also kind of like a reality check for the character, so they really know that, okay, what I'm doing is not working and it's time for a change. And Insecure, Issa begins to leave her old life behind because she's no longer happy. Lawrence gets a new relationship with his coworker, and Molly changes firms, and then she also goes back to therapy and takes it seriously. In The Good Place, the characters realize that the reason that they are not in The Good Place, spoiler alert, is because they did not get enough points on Earth to make it in. So what happens is they are getting a second chance on Earth to see if they can make enough points to actually make it into The Good Place before they die. In Dear White People, the Order of X is introduced to carry us into season 3. Sam kind of realizes that the way she was going about her race relations may not be who she is or who she wants to be. Coco pretty much takes on her new role as the leader of the Black Student Union, and Troy literally just says, forget everything my dad wants me to be, I'm just gonna do whatever I want. So season 3 is where we are introduced to a whole new world and a whole new set of rules. And at this point, the characters are so desperate to run away from what they thought was going to be their happiness that they do a 180. And this is also because of you, the viewers. At this point, if your characters don't change, you're going to start hating them, because at this point, you're going to feel like it's been too long for them to not learn from their mistakes. It's like, how are they not self-aware at all? Especially depending on the age that the characters are in the story. Issa is, I think, in her mid-20s, so if she didn't change, it would really just be like, what's going on? Please, someone tell me. In The Good Place, they've been through so much that if they didn't actually become good people, it was like, what are we doing this for? And on Dear White People, they're in college, and college transforms you so much. So if they went to their 3rd year of college and they're the same as they were when they were 17, 18, at 21, maybe even 22 in some cases, it's like, what's going on? Basically, the writers are saying you're smart enough to know that these characters cannot be the same in this point. And like I said, you're gonna start hate watching, because watching characters that don't change on a character driven show where I need to see a character arc, it's just not fun. Grownish.
Not a good day. Okay? Not back to that one. Shaking the table.
Sorry, something a little stuck in my throat. The other thing about the beginning of season 3 is if you had watched the pilot of season 1 and then someone told you what the first episode of season 3 was going to be, you would literally be like, what? How do we even get there? So for example, with season 1 of Insecure, we're starting with Issa in a relationship, and on episode 1 of season 3, she is sleeping on her side dude's couch. On The Good Place, the crew ends up from being in what is supposed to be heaven in the show to being back down on Earth, and Michael turns from a foe to a friend, which if you watch the show, that is a complete 180, and it really wouldn't make any sense watching the first episode. And on Dear White People, no one but Al, who is kind of a side character or a secondary character of the show, is fighting for racial justice on campus, or at least makes that their main priority. At the end of season 3, you really have no idea what's going to happen, but you know that things will never and can never be the same. In Insecure, Issa has finally figured out what she wants to do with her career and is actually taking steps toward achieving it. In The Good Place, Eleanor has went from thinking that she was in heaven to trying to save the human race on Earth. And in Dear White People, we're getting deeper into the Order of X, which didn't even exist in season 1. Or at least we didn't know it existed. And that brings us into season 4. where any lingering storylines are wrapped up and sit in a to-go box. All the problems for season 1 are pretty much brought to a resolution. In The Good Place, Eleanor saves all of the human race and fixes all the problems with the afterlife. In Dear White People, we're still waiting on season 4, but we can kind of assume that we're gonna know everything there is to know about the Order of X, and Lionel and Sam will probably feel a lot more comfortable about their place on campus and their purpose on campus and how they're gonna go about fixing the race relations on campus as well. And in Insecure season 4, Issa executes her block party perfectly, so she's finally getting to a place in her career where she feels comfortable and happy and like she's actually doing what she wants to do, and she gets back with Lawrence. And honestly, if it wasn't for Condoleezza, that would have been the perfect ending, cherry on top. The series could have ended right there, honestly, and this leads me to why Insecure is ending. In conclusion, the real reason Insecure is ending is because Issa Rae is smart and she's a good writer and she knows when the time is up. See, the thing is, we don't know relationship Issa. The whole time we're rooting for her to find a happy relationship, which is why season 5 is going to work, because there's still a problem. There's still a block with her being in a happy relationship. And if I had to guess, I would think that we were supposed to get 6 seasons of Insecure to kind of complete the whole arc, but I think 5 will be just fine. Honestly, Issa, the real Issa, knows when to get out. Like, you gotta get out when something is good, because y'all, the audience, are very, very fickle, and I think a lot of times you guys don't even know what you guys want. You guys do not want Insecure to go to 8 seasons because you're going to end up hating it. The characters are going to change way too much for you to relate to them, or they're going to be too stuck in their ways for you to root for them. If Insecure was to go on for like 10 seasons and Issa still didn't get in a happy relationship, we would begin to questioning why we even liked her in the first place, because clearly it's something wrong with her at this point. Same goes for Molly, same goes for Lawrence, and any other character that's in this show. And I really don't know what's going to happen in season 5. I think Condensation is going to go through having the baby. I think if she had trigger warning, miscarriage, or anything like that, it would just be too easy. It would be very convenient for Issa to have this happy ending, and that's just not what the show is about. The show is not convenience. The show is not a perfect reality. The show is real. That's what we like about it. And I don't know if Issa's gonna end up with Lawrence. I heard Nathan is supposed to be back on there, so there's a little toss up there. I honestly don't feel like anybody's gonna be able to predict what happens at the end of season 5. I feel like the only way we're gonna be able to decide where we want Issa to go is we have to watch the events that happen in season 5, because I really feel like the writers are going to put those characters in situations that we could not have even thought of. And we've been with Issa and the rest of these characters for a very long time, and as someone who writes scripts, you think of your characters as your children. Like, you literally create them, you literally give birth to them, create their birthday, create their childhood, their likes, their dislikes, their personality, everything. And just like parents realize with their children, there comes a time where your characters don't need you anymore. Issa and all the characters have really grown a lot to the point where we can pretty much guess how their story is gonna go. Sure, they're probably gonna, you know, falter and have some messy situations, but we've seen them gather a lot of tools and learn a lot about their lives and what they want in their lives, that we can pretty much guess that they're gonna be just fine, and we don't need to watch them be just fine. Now, this is my big meta idea and formula for why Insecure is ending, and from a business standpoint, it makes a lot of sense. Issa Rae is a Capricorn, you know, so she about her coin, she about her business, okay? But you know, it really could just be she's too busy and she has other projects, or she feels like she's outgrown this project, or she could simply just not want to do it anymore, which I don't think that's the case, but hey. But based on the formula that most television series go through, this is the reason that I think Insecure is ending. And I'm honestly not mad at it. I'm going to miss it. I'd rather it end while I love it than for it to drag on and me hate it. So that is it. That is my analysis. This is a different kind of video for you guys. Let me know what you think about it in the comments down below. If there's any other aspect of television and film that you guys want to talk about, this is something I'm really passionate about and something that I want to do for a living. So I love talking about it, and I would love to teach you guys more about how I think about television and film and just different things in the industry that I have learned and will learn along the way. Like this video if you guys enjoyed it. Subscribe to join the clique, because we lit over here. And if you're already a part of the clique, make sure to share this video so the clique can grow and we could be one big happy family. And lastly, as always, stay classically you. Bye guys. Mwah.